Hey, Mr. Richards here. Let's review the Algebra 1 10-5 homework problems. We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem in this lesson to find missing lengths. Now, a squared plus b squared equals c squared is our Pythagorean theorem. That you add up the legs, the square of the legs, it's going to equal the square of the hypotenuse. And the hypotenuse is always the side that's across from the right angle. And so once you have your c labeled, your a and your b are your two that are wrapped around your right angle, if you will. So 3 squared plus 4 squared is going to equal c squared. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16. 9 plus 16 is 25. Take the square root of both sides, and this time you just get a nice easy answer that 5 is equal to c. Now, number 2, I'm just going to go through this. Make sure you're always identifying your hypotenuse. And they already labeled this side as b, this side will be a. And so a squared plus b squared will equal c squared. 4 squared plus our unknown side b is going to equal 21 squared. So 4 squared plus b squared is 21 squared. 4 squared is 16. 21 squared is 441. So subtract 16 from both sides. And right here is one of the most common misconceptions of the Pythagorean theorem in solving for missing lengths. I see student after student, year after year, who just puts in the two sides in for a and b. Make sure you're putting things in for the right side. Sometimes it's real straightforward. Sometimes you're going to have to do some subtracting. And so just a little note of caution as it goes, oh, this is so easy. Well, yeah, as long as you're doing it right. B squared is going to be 425. And we take the square root of both sides here. Let's see, square root of 425 equals that large number. Well, small number, it's all relative. 20.615. We're going to the nearest hundredth. So tenths, hundredths, 1 over. B is 20 and 62 hundredths. In number 3, I always like to label my hypotenuse first. You have your a labeled, you have your b. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. A squared plus 6 squared equals 19 squared. 6 squared is 36. 19 squared, need a little help on here. 19 squared equals 361. Subtract the 36 from both sides, and you get a squared is equal to 325. Take the square root of both sides here, and you get a equals, let's see, square root of 325 equals 18.027, that whole thing. So 18.027, look to the hundredths place, a is going to equal 18 3 hundredths. And lastly, you are just looking for c here. Your c is your hypotenuse. Your hypotenuse is always your longest side. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Yeah, 8 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. 64 plus 144 is going to be c squared. 64 plus 144, just so you know it, I'm recording this pretty late in the evening at this point, so a little bit of help with the calculator on some of these tonight. This is going to be 208 is equal to c squared. Take the square root of both sides. And you end up with that fun number. So 14.422 equals c. This time we're not rounding up, so c is simply equal to 14 42 hundredths. And so Pythagorean theorem is pretty easy to get in a rhythm as long as you're identifying your legs and your hypotenuse correctly. Question 5, a baseball diamond's a square. The distance between consecutive bases is 90 feet. How far does the catcher have to throw the ball from home plate to first base? Or second base, hello. First base would just be 90 feet, and that would be the easiest question all year. Well, there's your right angle. Your hypotenuse is across from right angle, so you have A and B. And so for part A here, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. 90 squared plus 90 squared is going to be C squared. 90 squared should just be 8,100. Add these up, it should be 16,200 equals C squared. Take the square root of both sides. And really I just want to check my work here so I'm not embarrassed. 8,100 and 8,100 plus 8,100 was equal to 16,200. Good. Didn't make any mistakes, thank goodness. Square root of 16,200 is equal to 127.279. So it doesn't ask us what to round to this time. So 127.279 equals C. We've been rounding the nearest hundredth in the previous examples. Let's just do that again. 127 and 28 hundredths feet to go from home plate to second base. How far does the third baseman throw the ball to the first baseman from a point in the baseline 15 feet from third to second? Okay. How far does the third baseman throw the ball to the first baseman from a point in the baseline 15 feet from third to second? So that means that he's going to be sitting right here, I suppose. And this distance here is going to be 90 minus 15, so 75 feet. And so you have to ask yourself, what am I going to do with that? One option is to go, okay, let's draw in our right triangle here, because there's the right angle, right? And now we'll connect the hypotenuse here. And so we know our legs are around the right angle, 90, and this time 75, and then we have to find C. So for part B, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We'll just call the A 90, the B 75, and your A and B can be switched in this one, but your C definitely has to be C. That's definitely going to be the longest side there. 90 squared we already got already at 8,100. 75 squared I'm not going to be able to pull off without the calculator, so let's go to that. 75 squared equals 5,625. Oh, I knew that. Not really. Let's see. 8,100 plus 5,625 is equal to 13,725. 13,725 is C squared. Now we have to take the square root of this, and it should be less than our previous answer since we're throwing it less feet here. The square root of 13,725 is equal to 117.15. So 117, we'll just look at that. That's not going to need to round, so we'll just go to the nearest hundredth again. 117 and 15 hundredths feet. See what else we can dissect here. A base runner going from first to second base is 100 feet from home plate. How far is the runner from second base? They're 100 feet from home plate. They're in between first and second. So I'm just going to pick an arbitrary point here. And this is the distance then we're looking for. We're not looking for, we're told they're 100 feet from home plate. I see a right triangle here in blue. I have an A and a B around the right angle, and this time my hypotenuse is the 100. And so for part C here, A squared plus B squared is going to be C squared. The A length is 90. The B length is what we're looking for. I don't know what that distance is from first to second base. I mean, it could be up here for all I know. But this is going to equal C squared, which is 100 squared. 90 squared is 8,100 for the 15th time. 100 squared, not really 15th time, but still, is going to be 10,000. Subtract the 8,100 from both sides. Get B squared equals, and again, normal circumstances, I might not have to subtract this out, but that just makes sure. 1,900. So B squared is 1,900. Take the square root of both sides so we can figure out that B is equal to 43.58. Yikes, 43.588. Which is going to be 43 and 59/100 feet. Now, that's how far in the question I asked, oh snap, that's how far they are from first base. We're looking from second base, so technically I do need to subtract 90 minus 43 and 59/100 here. The way I drew in the triangle, we used 90 in the B, and this was the 100. So I need to take 90 minus 43 and 59/100 now because, well, why not? I miss baseball season. 46 and 41/100. This was the distance from first base. This is the distance from second base. All right. Determine whether each set of measures can be the lengths of a right triangle. So this is using what's called the converse, that if you're given three measurements, A squared plus B squared needs to equal C squared. I don't like that they didn't mix these numbers up at all. C, when you solve these, always has to be the largest number. So you have 8, 12, and 16. They're just listed in order. So 8 squared plus 12 squared equals 16 squared. 8 squared is 64, 12 squared is 144, 16 squared I wish I knew in my head, but I don't. So 16 squared is equal to 256. And you add 64 plus 144 is 208. And since the left side was 208, and the right side is 256, these are not equal to each other, so no, these would not be the measurements of a right triangle. And you just go through the rest of these. 28 squared plus 45 squared would need to equal 53 squared. You would do 7 squared plus 24 squared needs to equal 25 squared. You would do 15 squared plus 25 squared would need to equal 45 squared, and you just go through and solve. So I'm just going to go through and get a bunch of numbers here, just to save a little bit of time here in this recording. Forgot the equal sign. Let's see, 7 squared. I can't believe I just typed in 7 squared. 24 squared. 25 squared is 625, but why not? 15 squared. 25 squared. Didn't I do that one? 45 squared. All right, so there's a bunch of facts. Let's get those put into the problems now. 28 squared was 784. 45 squared is 2025. 53 squared is 2809. 7 squared, I still can't believe I typed that in, is 49. 24 squared is 576. 25 squared is 625. 15 squared is 225, plus 625 would need to equal 2025. I can tell you right now that's not going to. And now let's add up these numbers that we have here. Let's see, the 784 plus 2025. Yeah, that looks good. 49 plus the 576. Hey, that looks good. And I don't even know why I'm bothering to type this in, just for formality, I suppose. Because I can tell you they're not going to equal. So 784 plus 2025 was equal to 2,809. And since 2,809 equals 2,809, yes, these could be of lengths of a right triangle. 49 plus 576 was 625. That is equal to 625. So once again, it's a yes. And 225 plus 625 was 850. Does that equal 2025? Not on this planet or any other planet, so no. That is it for this homework review of using Pythagorean theorem. The baseball question was certainly an interesting one. Draw yourself pictures and on some of these word questions, and that'll hopefully help. If I didn't draw that picture and I may have left 43 and 59 hundredths as my final answer, it wasn't until I looked back and went, wait a minute, the question asked for from second base. Well, I got them from first base. I needed to subtract from 90 to get the answer there. And there are more difficult problems than the 4 of these. And just make sure you always identify your hypotenuse. Your hypotenuse is always the side across the right angle. That's always your C. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Good luck.